Let's talk about the best coordinators to go after in college football 26. So for this, I'm going to show you kind of two examples. For the bigger programs like LSU and you have a great head coach that you know is high in level, I'm going to also show you the difference with a smaller program, maybe also a newer coach, just so y'all get the best of both worlds. But if you enjoyed this content, like, comment, subscribe, check out the ebook/membership down there below. Also, we're live later tonight. Live streaming on Twitch later tonight. Brand new rebuild is dropping, so tap in. Now, with that being said, let's hop into the content, man. So, coordinators, offense, defensive coordinators, super important this year. I think way more important this year than last year, man, especially with all the changes to your coaches, and they increased the coach level, but even with increasing the level, it is tough to be well-rounded. It is tough because, like, for example, it costs $45 just to unlock, architect. And then when you get in here, it actually is way more expensive. Costs $12 compared to last year. This costs $8. So yes, your coach level could get higher, but it'll take you longer to get your coach level up there. So you really need to rely on your coordinators for some of this other stuff, man. It's no more just having a super well-rounded coach and getting your coach level up super fast, unless you did the glitch that came out when the game first dropped. But you didn't do that glitch, you are at square one, man. So how do you build your coach? That's going to be another video. We want to talk about the OCs and the DCs, man, because I think it's a right way and a wrong way to go about it, man. So first off, you got to make sure you fire your head coaches during conference championship week, man. Do not sim pass it, because for some reason, that's going to be your only attempt. So before the bowl week, before this point, is conference championship week. You have to fire your O and DC if you want to. If you want to keep them, you don't have to worry about it. But when you come in here to hire your coaches, you got to make a decision. Like, what am I looking for? What is my current coach build? What is my goal with my current coach build? Personally, I love the strategist this year, man. Last year, not a fan. Was not a fan of it. This year, I really do enjoy the strategist tier 4. But the tier 4 is obviously most expensive, and that's the mind reader ability for, just so you can see development traits when scouting. I think that's one of the best abilities in the whole entire game. So I really do love that ability. The rest of the abilities, that's solid. Not the best thing in the world, but definitely solid. Tier 2 also having visits having a larger impact, also pretty darn good. So I definitely value the strategist, and the next one I really value is talent developer. But out of all of these, 3 external ones you can't start off with, and that's going to be strategist, architect, and talent developer. Talent developer could be the hardest one to get when it comes to having a smaller program, man. You have to have 2 guys drafted. 2 guys drafted, man. For the architect, you just got to win some rivalry games, 4 rivalry games. For this one, you got to win 4 bowl games. That's doable as a small program, man. But to have 2 guys drafted, that could take you forever. It could take you 10 years as a small program if you're not producing good enough talent. But when you do unlock this is low-key overpowered this year, man. Low-key is a very good coach ability. Now, what I noticed just going through a bunch of different save files, going through a bunch of different offense, defensive coordinators, you're not going to see too many guys come in with talent developer. Too many offense and defensive coordinators will not come in with this ability. So when you do see it on a coach, go after them, because like I said, it's just more rare, man. So mostly the tier 2 and tier 3 of the talent developers is my favorite personally, man. Sophomores and freshmen quarterbacks will progress faster. Very good ability. Also tier 3, where your starter at whatever position will also gain more XP. So it's just a win-win. You're really developing your talent, and I need to do a full-blown test testing talent developer compared to motivator tier 3. Now, some things I like to avoid. Master motivator. Personally, it's solid, it's cool. But for a coach build, I just rather have one of these other more rare things, man. Like, I could get master motivator myself. Getting talent developer and strategist, it's a little bit more challenging, like I said. So I'd much rather focus on an OC and DC that will come in with those abilities. Now, when it comes to, when you're a bigger program like this, and we have a higher level head coach, on average, your offense and defensive coordinators during this first week, their level will be higher. But don't let level be the say-all, be-all, man. Because the higher the coach level is, the less likely for him to branch out into other categories, other coach skill trees. So you'll see here, you got level 35 head coach. and we're hiring him for our offensive coordinator, he could only be an elite recruiter. That's all he could do. And that's, like I said, their level get up. They're not going to expand to these other categories because it costs more for them to unlock XP, more for them to level up, and they're less likely just to expand. So when you do go with a lower level coach, you have the chance for them to maybe go into some tacticians, some motivators, some of this other stuff. But I'm not mad at an elite recruiter, man. This is a very, very solid coach to build, man. Like, I would not be against bringing this guy in. It depends what I want to do for my program, man. Elite recruiter is actually very good this year. The unfortunate part is you don't see where that elite recruiter is at. It might be in categories where it might not be that big of a priority. Now, when they just have regular recruiter, I'm probably staying away from that coach, man, that offense and defensive coordinator. I don't think that's worth it this year. Like, you got some motivator, then you also got, some recruiter, and motivator is cool if you get the tier 3. It's a chance here that he has no tier 3 for the motivator. And, I don't want to say it's the only ability that matters for motivator, but that's the one everyone's going for. And if he don't have any of the position groups on tier 3, that's the extra offseason training boost. This is damn near a useless coach, man. Damn near. The recruiter, like I said, is cool when it comes to scouting faster. But if it's not elite recruiter, I'm probably avoiding it, man. Let's keep going through. Tommy here, another guy, I would more so consider, especially as a bigger school, he got some tactician, and tactician will help you win games instantly. So I would consider that a little bit more. Let's look at this guy, and, he got a little bit of everything. And last year, this would be my favorite offense and defensive coordinator, Coach Bill. My favorite by far. The guys that were just balanced. The guys that could, develop the tactician, the motivator, and then also the recruiter. I love them guys last year. This year, not so much. Not so much, man. I would much rather have a guy either have talent developer or strategist. That's what I'm looking for. Talent developer or strategist. If they're well-rounded like this, cool, a backup option if, I don't find what I'm looking for, but that's not my ideal coach. Here, you got a scheme guru. This is probably my least favorite out of everything, man. Scheme guru, I just don't love, man. And for it to be on my offense or defensive coordinator, not ideal. And this guy, I don't know what's going on. I guess he's glitched. You can see the graph, but everything's grayed out. So literally for all of these offensive coordinators, I don't like any of them. Guess what? You could sim another week and you'll get some different coordinators to come through. So I'm going to let that sit. I'm not going to do nothing with that. Got another guy, scheme guru, looking at defensive coordinators. I'm not interested in that, man. Another master motivator. A little bit more intriguing, but not really my swing, man. Let's keep going through. Matt, another master motivator. Not really my gig. Let's look at Lamar Davis. He got architect. Now, architect is interesting. It's not my favorite out of the talent developer strategists. It's not my favorite out of these 3, but it's a little bit more interesting. I would lean towards that guy maybe. Let's see. And now we get Jay. I love to hire the former head coaches, man. Former head coach, level 42. But the good part is he has something that is actually very useful, and he has a lot of it. You see the graph, man. He's heavy into the strategist. So hopefully he has some tier 4 abilities. Hopefully he got 1 or 2 tier 4 abilities. And that's going to be the guy I'm definitely going to go for as an OC, or excuse me, as a DC every single time, man. So we're going to go ahead, offer him the job, and then I'm actually going to advance without offering an offensive coordinator a job, man. I just didn't find one I really love, so I'm going to go ahead and advance. Now, one thing you have to understand, you could advance one time without offering the job. Don't advance twice. If you go into, week 3 of the bowl week, the talent pool drops off significantly, man. So like I said, we're at week 2 here. When you advance once again, he accepted the job. That's great. We're at week 2. Once you go to week 3, it gets scary. It gets scary, man. Don't go to week 3 without having any offers, man. So we come back in here and you see, you got some similar guys, some of the same guys. But I believe Jared here is new. Still don't love that, man. I don't love none of these coaches. So one of them coordinators has this architect ability. And I think the best thing here is, probably tier 2 where quarterbacks earn extra in-game goals First of all, if you have manual progression on, this number 2 is absolutely useless. We know manual progression, if you keep it on default when it comes to that 25% nerf, it don't matter what they do in game. They're not gaining any XP. I dropped the whole entire video on it. So this tier 2 ability will be absolutely useless. Tier 3, chance to increase the random skill caps, man. I really find skill caps not that bad this year, man. Since they doubled it from 10 to 20 for every single category, skill caps is just not as bad this year, man. So having that ability, to me, is just not as useful. Not as useful, man. So I would avoid that guy coming back over here to the OC, and that's Lamar I'm talking about, man. And like I said, if you want to go after him, if you love the architect, go ahead. I would avoid, and I would hire actually Tony here, who has the elite recruiter. Unfortunately, like I said, we don't see what categories it's for, but elite recruiter is very good. Very, very good. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually sim another week. I just want to show y'all what happens once you hit that week 3 and how janky the coordinators get. All right, sim into week 3, and this is actually your last week to hire. If you don't hire anyone after this week 3 and you advance again, they will automatically give you a guy. And you see here, man, we do have some different options, but you also get some lower options, man. You got some level 16s, 14s, 15s, and that's not always the end of the world, because the thing is, you could kind of mold them a little bit, man. You could mold them a little bit, man. It's not perfect at all. I wish you could have some type of influence how these guys level up, but unfortunately you can't. But at the advancing, like I said, once you hit that week 3 and you still don't have a coordinator, it gets janky. It gets very janky, man. But it's interesting, the verbiage here, man. Offer coach, hire coach. You know, it's two different, ways they word it. Hire coach, offer, I don't know what the difference really means. Obviously, hire, to me, that make it seem like he's going to take the job if I offer it. It's a hire coach instead of offer. I don't really know what that means. But Matt here, similar bill with the elite recruiter. Now that F prestige is nasty work. That's nasty work, man. UConn, offensive coordinator. It's not great. D prestige, also not great. But that will hurt our school grades. But that could improve throughout this season. So I'm actually going to offer or hire Matt, as that's the verbiage is used. So I'm going to actually offer him the gig, and we're going to advance, and he should accept. But like I said, I like to prioritize strategist and talent developer, but like I said, talent developer just seems to be so rare, man. We went through all of those offense and defensive coordinators, and y'all didn't see one talent developer. And like I said, I went through a bunch of different save files, and I'm about to go to another one to my smaller school. These talent developers are rare, and it makes sense, man. Having these top draft picks is difficult. So now we could come in here and look at our coaches if they let us. So come in here, look at Matt, who has the F prestige, and yeah, look at him, and we got scammed. We got scammed, man. But this is the reality of it. Only 2 out of 4 for the quarterback, and that's it for elite recruiter. The rest is just regular recruiter. Yeah, not great. And, that's why I didn't want to hire a super elite recruiter, because that's what you could get. Let's look at the defensive coordinator, and hopefully his is going to be a little bit better. So Jay is his name. Come over here, look at his thing, who is going to be a strategist. And we do get tier 4 mind reader for the linebackers. But the fact that we have all of these tier 3s, maybe one day he'll upgrade some of these to tier 4, and we'll be in a really, really good spot. Like I said, I think this is one of the best abilities in the game, just having this mind reader ability. Unfortunate, he upgrading for his kicker and punter. Don't love that. But hiring the strategist, very, very good, man. And just be conscious of, if you do hire a high-level coach, don't expect them to branch out, man. Don't expect them to change a lot. If you hire a level 10, level 15 coach, man, they get creative, because they're going to get XP a lot faster. They're going to level up a lot more frequent. Now, when it comes to a smaller school, you kind of got to fit in where you can. You kind of got to get what you can here, man. So, obviously we a C-, but we're level 26 head coach. And the rest of the coaches, we actually do get some high-level coaches. And then we do get some low-level guys, man. And I expect that as a smaller school, and then also, a lower-level head coach. For LSU, we had nothing but big names, or really higher levels them first couple weeks. But we do get, like I said, Sonny here, who is level 44, and he has strategists. Now, looking at the graph, we know he's not going to have tier 3, or if he do have tier 3, it's only going to be one guy, or really tier 4 is what I'm looking for, that mind reader. But he's just kind of spread thin. I don't love that. I don't love that, man. I don't love that. But that's probably my top choice right now. We look through, you got the elite recruiter, but it's probably going to be a similar story where he's going to have elite recruiter for one guy. But when he continues to level up, at least he can level up that elite recruiter, and get better. But it's not going to be great to start. And then you get another coach here named GJ. What an interesting name. But he has strategists as well. I'm not against it. I'm definitely not against it, man. Now, the young guys, the younger coaches down here, like I said, these guys seem to just be more balanced. Like, they'll have a little bit of everything unlocked, the main 3, I should say, at least. So who would I lean towards? I would lean towards, level 44, who is spread a little bit more thin, but he do have motivator, and out of motivator, scheme guru, and recruiter, or tactician is the name of it, out of those 3, I like motivator the best, just for the tier 3 ability. Again, that off-season training boost. So I would lean towards this guy. Do I think he's going to be the best coach? Maybe not, just because, like I said, I don't know if he'll have tier 4 for that strategist. Now looking at the DCs, and this is what you're usually going to see for the smaller programs. Like, all lower level coaches. Then you do get Jarrett here, who just happens to be a master motivator. And, just not my favorite, not my favorite. So I will actually go through, and all these lower guys, like I said, they're going to look super, super similar. And you kind of know when they don't even have, a name or schools associated with them, like they're AI generated, and it seems like all the AI generated coaches are super similar, which is unfortunate. So in this situation, like, we really don't have nothing to lose. Like, we really don't. If we just simmed another week, hopefully some more coaches get fired and we'll have more coaches to choose from, especially if we don't want to go with Jarrett here, who is just a master motivator, and I don't want to go with that. I'm better off just simming a week and just seeing if I have any other coaches. Worst come to worst, I could hire one of them, AI generated guys that's all pretty much do the same exact thing. Our offensive coordinator accepted the job, and we're at week 2 of the bowl weeks. And let's come back in here. Kind of the same story, man. We're seeing the same exact guys, or really no one that's moving our needle. I'm going to go ahead and sim another week, man. Like I said, worst come to worst, we just go with one of these younger guys that's going to be more well-rounded. It's not the end of the world, but like I said, this year, I would much rather try to find a talent developer or a strategist. Simmed another week. Let's look at the talent pool. And we do get Missouri head coach now in here, and we do get Vandy DC. Now, we could get an architect and Vandy DC with an F prestige. Probably not ideal. And then also, we're probably going to go with Buddy right here, Ryan. And like I said, we really didn't lose much. There's no point not to wait and just advance for, in a situation like this where you don't love the choices. And the last week, we could sign a guy, and we actually find a solid one, Ryan here, who has a C- prestige, not the worst in the world, especially when we're, not a great team. We went 2-10 last year. So we would definitely go with this guy who's the architect, and, we're able to get something that we wouldn't be able to touch with our head coach for a couple years. And that's kind of where I'm getting at, man. Like, I want to diversify my coaches. Like, I don't want just to have all my coaches do the same exact thing. I want to have a little bit of everything, and he should go ahead and accept that job because he don't have nowhere else to go. So we should go ahead and land our DC. And Ryan has committed, and that's kind of what we're looking like. So just a quick summary, man. Like I said, my goal is to find a talent developer, probably number 1, and a strategist, number 2. If I could find one of each for my offense and defensive coordinator, amazing, perfect. But it's tough. It is very tough, man. If you don't like your first round of coaches, sim a week. If you don't like that round, you still might want to go with a guy. But if you sim to that 3rd week, just know the pool could be depleted even more. Or you could get lucky like this and find a guy like Ryan, a gem here at the last week to sign a guy pretty much. So keep that in mind. As a bigger program, you probably want to focus a little bit more on tactician, a little bit more, just because tactician helps you win now. As a smaller program, you probably want to focus more on a motivator when it comes to your coaches, because motivator is going to help them guys develop. And then also same thing with talent developer. Talent developer is always good. But that's kind of my thought process. There's no point of getting a tactician for our team right here. In my head, like, we're 50 overall. What is a tactician going to do? Like, you know, having our players play it slightly better, slightly less trash, that's not doing much, man. I would much rather have a motivator rather than a talent developer. I'll also much rather have a recruiter for our coaches than, you know, a talent developer, than a tactician, just because, like I said, we're trying to build our program. We don't want these current players that's not that good. We don't really care about it. We know we're going to be bad. I just need players to develop and also to bring in guys that's going to have more potential, if that makes sense, man. But y'all let me know what y'all think, man. Let me know y'all favorite coachability. What type of offense and defensive coordinators do y'all aim for? I wish when you brought in a defense or offensive coordinator, you had to play their playbook. I know a lot of people wouldn't like that. I wish that was a feature in the game, but right now, there's no feature at all like that in the game. But that's all I got for y'all boys. If y'all enjoyed this content, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Appreciate y'all boys, and we on to the next one.